pronouns and how they dress are important, and they're identical. And I don't see
Even in this route of recovery, you get to real stories, real recovery. I am Kat, and I'm on the road of recovery.
My name is Natascha, and I am from Mansfield, Ohio. I have 3 years in recovery from 12 steps. Today I am a daughter, sister, and a mother.
Well, thank you so much for coming out and taking time out of what I'm sure is your very full schedule to join us. So if you could start off by sharing a bit about your childhood.
I'm a military brat, so both of my parents, both my mom and my dad, were in the military. Fortunately, I was just a baby in Germany, so I didn't get to speak or learn the language in Germany. And then we was just traveling all over the world.
How many different places did you live?
Oh my gosh, I want to say probably like 12, 13 different places.
Oh my goodness.
And I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
If I had the opportunity, I would go back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. So then that's where my drinking came in to play, because I didn't feel that love between two parents that a child should have, and stuff. So it was really hard. So then my dad became my drinking buddy. You know, my dad would sneak me in the bars in New York, because I used to live in New York for 7 years and stuff, until I got old enough to go to the bars by myself.
And was he retired at this point in time then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So he's got a lot of time on his hand, has a paycheck coming in and whatnot.
Because he was retired from the military, but then he actually had another job. He was doing construction work and stuff, and at different banks in New York and stuff. He actually owned the company. He's retired from that company, but he still works for the company. If that makes any sense.
And when we're talking New York, we talking New York City or New York State?
New York City.
So what part of New York City were you in?
Manhattan.
Okay.
The crazy town.
Yes, that's for sure.
I mean, I love
teenager,
it.
Yeah.
I love it. I actually went back and visit by myself, so it was pretty interesting. Different stuff has closed down and stuff, probably because of COVID and stuff, but yeah.
So as a teenager, you know, being in Manhattan, you know, you have a parent who is willing to drink with you. What did substances do for you?
It didn't feel good going down, but it kind of like had that warm sensation, and I felt like it kind of like took away my feelings. It took away my emotions. It took away of the past trauma, you know, that I had, you know, done to me. So basically it just was my best friend. And I mean, like, I didn't start drinking hard until like once I got up until like probably my 15 and a half years. 13, I started drinking at the age of 13.
Pretty young.
But it was kind of like, it wasn't like a heavy, I didn't start out heavy. I started out maybe like light. I started off with like the fruity wine, and then I ended up going into like the hard stuff. So my trauma is that my dad had raped me between the age of 17 to 19.
Goodness.
So then after I had my first child, because I don't believe in abortion, you know, so after I had my first child, we ended up sleeping up underneath the train station in Freeport, New York, me and my son. I had a bottle in one hand and my child in another, and I wasn't really paying attention to my child, because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just wondering where my next drink's coming from, right? And so then one day the lady came and she slipped something in my hand, and at that time I didn't really pay attention. So then when she left, I looked down and she had gave me, it was a note, but then she put money in there, and the note had said, well, go get your son some diapers, do what you need to do for your son. In all reality, you know, a normal person would be like, okay, thanks, you know, wherever she is, thank you, you know, that's a blessing. But me, no, I used that money to go get my next drink. When I was sleeping up underneath the train station at Freeport, all I remember is I was bawling my eyes out, And I couldn't remember if my grandmother called me or if I called her. But all I remember is she sent me a Greyhound ticket for me and my son to come back to Mansfield. She's like, you guys can come and stay. We went to the house. I gave my son a bath and, put him to bed and stuff. And I went down into the basement. So she has a full furnished basement. I sat in the recliner and I was watching TV and trying to be slick, right? So I had a bottle in a brown paper bag and it was sitting next to the recliner. And I'm thinking, like, she's very quiet, so I would never knew she was coming down the stairs. And I was just drinking. And she said, okay, you have to either quit drinking or you can get out. She didn't say me and my child. She just said me, get out, right? So I'm like, in all reality, you would think I would be there for my son. But no, I left.
Was there like a catalyst or what happened that you decided, I want something different? Could you walk us through that?
Okay. So when I came back the last time from New York, and I was with my grandmother and stuff, I felt like that day that I hit my rock bottom and I needed to get some help.
How was your family, your son and your grandmother, impacted by your drinking?
So I have 2 boys.
Okay.
So my oldest now is 15 and then my youngest is 12. Which I haven't seen. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a whole nother story in that one. I haven't seen my 12-year-old probably 9-10 years now.
Oh my.
Yeah, so the youngest son's dad, I met him in Cleveland and stuff. He up and left Ohio and I didn't know nothing about it and stuff. So yeah,
and took your son with him. Mm-hmm. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So but both of them are autistic, and my youngest had open heart surgery at 6 months, and then my youngest has he's autistic and he has what's called Williams Down syndrome.
What were the things that you did to be able to put one foot in front of the other and maintain your sobriety?
So the first time when I got sober, I ended up trying the 12 steps in Mansfield above Coney Island downtown, but I wasn't really ready and sincere. So then I ended up going back out and just continue to drink because I'm like, oh, this ain't nothing. It's fine. Yes. I just kept drinking. And then finally, when I left New York, I ended up going back to Mansfield and going back to the clubhouse in Mansfield. And I felt like that time, the second time, I finally hit my rock bottom because I was just tired. And I finally got serious. I got me a sponsor. We worked the steps. Then I managed to get a year sober. Then I ended up, oh my gosh, so I ended up going to Virginia to visit my mom for Christmas and stay for New Year's. So my stepdad, which is my mom's husband, he has a bar in one corner, nothing but just hard liquor. And then my mom, she has this fruity wine, right? And she had them lined up all on the counter or whatever and stuff. And we was playing some game, and my stepdad had his hard liquor. I think it was Jack Daniels. He mixed his two. I think it was Jack Daniels and vodka or something. It was like really, really strong and stuff. And but I didn't really pay attention to that. I paid attention to the wine. Mm-hmm. So my mom had 10, so I had 5 and she had 5. And then she had another one stashed up underneath the cabinet thing and stuff. So she pulled that one out once we was done. So the crazy thing is, I didn't know you can get a buzz from wine.
Oh yeah. So you mentioned that you also have co-occurring mental health diagnosis. Mm-hmm. If you could talk about how you also have addressed that part of your recovery as well.
I'm going to Brightview for counseling.
Okay. And
I'm seeing a trauma there as well. And oh my gosh, I love Brightview. They are hilarious, but they so caring. Oh my gosh, I've been on the psych floor probably 5 different times. For the first couple of days, I stayed in my room. I stayed in a room and I just watched TV. And when I first came out the room, the third day, I started kind of like interacting with people and going to groups there and stuff. I met this one guy because he was playing cards by himself, and I went over there and I introduced myself. He was telling me about this place for people that are dealing with like mental issues, like a place for them to go.
Right.
Like we crochet, we go on outings, we have dinners, we celebrate people's birthdays, like a celebration, and stuff like that. We play games down there. We have a coloring contest, and
What's
stuff
the name of
like
that
that. It's called Oasis.
Okay, very cool.
It's down behind the Shell gas station in Mansfield. And then he introduced his mom. He introduced his mom and his dad to me, and so then I was like, then they gave me like a little pamphlet, and I've just been going ever since. So I mean, it's been a very I don't know, an eventful experience.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, I lost my baby brother.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he was 26. It was a homicide. Somebody thought he was rich and stuff like that. All he had was like a black saddle. He had a small bag of marijuana, and then he had like $10 in his saddle. And there was 2 adults and 1 15-year-old, and they was coming down. It was in a high rise, and you know how parents, they tell their kids, well, don't go into this neck of the woods, this is a bad area. Luckily, a friend of mine, I picked her up Thursday night, so she stayed with me Friday night, so I wouldn't have to go far, right? And she was there when all this happened, and she was kind of like, today she's my best friend and stuff, and like she was there to comfort me, because she could tell like the look on my face, like when I got off the phone, because I got a phone call Friday morning. I had plugged my phone up, because I plug my phone up every night, right? And I had it on vibrate, I had it on the bed, and I mean, I was sound asleep, and I already had a plan, right, and stuff. And so my phone vibrated, and I looked, and it was my aunt, and she was like, babe, did you hear what happened? Your brother just been shot. And I mean, I'm telling you, I was stuck on Stupid Park Dundum, because I was like, because when my aunt called me, I was laying down and I was just stuck. Like, I was stuck. Like, I didn't know what to do. My mom called, and I instantly sat up real quick, like real fast. My heart was beating. I had crocodile tears, and I was like, this is not cool at all. Like, I immediately text my instructor at school. I said, I won't be in the school today. Family emergency. And then that's when I became angry with my higher power.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how dare you take my best friend, right? Because that was my best friend. That was like my go-to. Like, bam, if I have an issue, go to you. You know? Yeah, and I was just like, I never could process that.
So you said 2 years ago your brother was murdered, and you've been sober for 3 years. So you were able to maintain your sobriety through that. If you can talk about like what you did to be able to, you know, put one foot in front of the other and be able to maintain your sobriety, because that's devastating.
My friend that was staying with me that night, she was convincing me to go to this retreat. So then I reached out to another friend of mine that was she was in charge of the retreat or whatever and stuff, and I told her, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to go to this retreat. And I told her that I was thinking about going to the gas station. So I kind of told her myself, right?
Yes.
And stuff. And not really knowing that I told her myself, but I told her myself. Anyway, so she was like, if you don't come up here, we're going to get a SWAT van, and we're going to come up there, and we're going to get you, drag you into the SWAT van like the SWAT people do people, right? And you're going to come down to this retreat. And it meant so much that, you know, people like that would do stuff like that and truly care, right? And so I ended up going to the retreat, you know, and stuff, and it did me some good. Like, I wasn't like completely over it, but I wasn't thinking about it as much, you know. And I mean, oh my gosh, like so many people showed me so much love when I couldn't even get in through the door. I couldn't even put my luggage down without people bum rushing me. Like, oh my gosh, we're so glad you're here, because if you would have went to that gas station.
Thank you so much for sharing that, you know, very painful story, and how you were able to walk through that, of your willingness to be honest and your willingness to allow other people to help you through that.
Yes.
So, as part of your story, you talked about your son and your grandmother and how your relationship had been affected with them. How did you go about rebuilding your relationship with your son and with your grandmother?
Okay, so with my son, obviously I don't have custody of neither one of them, but my cousin has full custody of my oldest.
Okay.
And she lives in Mansfield, so I'm able to go over there whenever I want to and visit and stuff and take him out, So my cousin's starting to trust me. So like me and my son, we would sit down, because he's 15, we would play Monopoly and stuff, and he'd be like, Mom, you cheated. And I'm like, but that was my 200. He's like, and then he snatched it from me. He's too funny. He's like me, like we would just bust out laughing, and it's just a joy to build that bond back with my cousin and and that trust with my son too. So, and then with my grandmother, oh my gosh, I felt like it took probably not 50 years, right? But it seemed like it, right? So, but it took a while to not only have that bond back with my grandmother, but to also build that trust back with my grandmother. Saturday, I showed up to my grandmother's house, and I told her, I didn't even tell her where we were going. I said, just put your blouse on and let's go. And I was able to take her out to dinner, her and her friend out to dinner, right? And she's like, you don't have to do this. Let me do, Granny, put your wallet back in your purse. I got this. Yeah. She was like, you short, Granny.
So what do you do today kind of on a daily or weekly basis to maintain your mental health, your physical well-being, and your sobriety?
So I attend my 12-step meetings. Mm-hmm. I actually chair. I actually lead. And then on the side note, I crochet, so I make blankets and hats and booties, and I send them to like St. Jude's and stuff, and then I work at Mid-Ohio Racetrack in Lexington, so I do security and I do flagging. In October, I work at the haunted house, the Trails of Nightmare, in the woods. So every year, that's the two main things that I actually, besides my sobriety, because my higher power is first and then my sobriety. Mm-hmm. But those are the main two things that I actually look forward to every year.
You've really turned your life around and have, relationships and, jobs that you like, and a lot of dreams have come true. Mm-hmm. What future dreams do you have for yourself?
I don't know. I know for me to retake my state boards and quit procrastinating, and maybe own my own salon one day, be a manager of my own salon.
So you've given so much, such great experience and being able to share how you've walked through different experiences. Are there any words of hope that really have spoken true to you on a day that you're struggling?
There's blessings in recovery. If you just stay in recovery and you do the next right thing, get a sponsor, have the tools, work the steps, and encourage somebody, because the program, I feel like I give the program back because it was so freely given to me, so okay, since it was so freely given to me, let me share that with somebody else in recovery that might be struggling. I might not have 50 years, but I have 3 years and I have some experience.
A ton of experience.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming out and sharing your story. It's just filled with such joy. I mean, you are a person that just really loves life, and being able to recognize that, when you get into recovery, life doesn't suddenly become all rainbows and sunshine.
No.
That it's still life, but being able to walk through some of the experiences that you've had and how to do that is surely going to help somebody. And again, you have this infectious laugh that is just spectacular, but you really have a love of life, and that's pretty spectacular. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.